My girlfriend kept leaving the house at 3:17 every morning, so one night I followed her. I never imagined the end of my relationship would begin because I woke up thirsty. My girlfriend Emma and I had been living together in Portland for almost 2 years. We weren't perfect, but we were happy. At least I thought we were. Then one night around 3 in the morning, I reached over to her side of the bed and realized it was empty. I assumed she was in the bathroom, grabbed a glass of water, and went back to sleep. The next morning, I asked where she'd gone. She smiled and said she'd gone downstairs to grab a snack because she couldn't sleep. It sounded normal, so I didn't think much of it. But 2 nights later, I woke up at exactly 3:17 again. Her side of the bed was empty. This time, I looked out the bedroom window just in time to see her getting into a dark sedan parked across the street. The car drove away without its headlights on. About 40 minutes later, it returned. Emma quietly came back inside, slipped into bed, and acted like she'd never left. I didn't confront her. I wanted an explanation before accusing her of anything. Over the next week, the same thing happened 4 more times. Always 3:17. Always the same dark sedan. Always gone for less than an hour. Every excuse she gave the next morning was different. A late night walk, trouble sleeping, fresh air. None of them matched what I'd seen. My friends immediately assumed she was cheating, but something about it didn't fit. If she was having an affair, why leave at the exact same minute every time? Why use the same car? Why only for 45 minutes? It felt planned. One Friday night, I decided to follow her. I parked my truck 2 blocks away before bedtime so she wouldn't notice it missing from the driveway. At exactly 3:17, she quietly got dressed, checked that I was asleep, and left. I waited 30 seconds before following on foot until she climbed into the sedan. As soon as it pulled away, I got into my truck and stayed several cars behind. They drove across town to an old industrial district filled with abandoned warehouses. The sedan stopped outside a brick building with no signs and no lights except for one window on the second floor. Emma went inside. I stayed in my truck, debating whether to call the police or just leave. Curiosity won. I walked closer and found the front door slightly open. Inside, I expected to hear voices. Instead, the building was almost silent. Following faint footsteps upstairs, I reached a hallway where one office still had power. Through the cracked doorway, I saw Emma sitting at a folding table with 5 strangers. In the middle of the table sat dozens of photographs. My photographs. Pictures of me leaving work, me grocery shopping, me jogging, me sitting on my own porch. My heart stopped. Before I could react, someone behind me said, "You weren't supposed to be here yet." I spun around to find an older man wearing a security uniform. He wasn't surprised to see me. He almost looked disappointed. I pushed past him and ran into the room. Emma stood up immediately, looking horrified. I demanded to know why everyone had pictures of me. Nobody answered for several seconds. Finally, Emma said something that made no sense. "They're trying to keep you alive." I laughed because it sounded insane. Then one of the strangers slid a photograph across the table. It showed my apartment building, taken from the roof across the street. In the corner of the image was a man using binoculars aimed directly at my bedroom window. Another photo showed the same man following me through a supermarket parking lot weeks earlier. Another showed him outside my office. Emma explained that she first noticed him nearly 6 months earlier. At first, she thought it was a coincidence. Then she realized the same man appeared almost everywhere we went. She reported it to the police, but without solid evidence, they couldn't do much. Instead of giving up, she contacted an online community that specialized in documenting suspected stalking cases. The people sitting around the table weren't criminals. They were volunteers who spent nights collecting evidence for victims the police couldn't yet help. Every time she left at 3:17, it was because someone had spotted the man again and wanted another set of eyes watching him. I wanted to believe her, but it still felt impossible. Then one volunteer opened a laptop and played security footage from a petrol station. The timestamp was from 2 weeks earlier. It showed me filling my truck with fuel. Seconds later, the same man parked 3 pumps away and photographed my license plate. I'd never noticed him. They had. Another video showed him standing outside my office building pretending to talk on the phone while watching me through the glass. Another showed him sitting outside our apartment for nearly 5 hours without leaving his car. Suddenly, every strange feeling I'd ignored over the past few months came rushing back. At first, she thought it was a coincidence. Then she realized the same man appeared almost everywhere we went. She reported it to the police, but without solid evidence, they couldn't do much. Instead of giving up, she contacted an online community that specialized in documenting suspected stalking cases. The people sitting around the table weren't criminals. They were volunteers who spent nights collecting evidence for victims the police couldn't yet help. Every time she left at 3:17, it was because someone had spotted the man again and wanted another set of eyes watching him. I wanted to believe her, but it still felt impossible. Then one volunteer opened a laptop and played security footage from a petrol station. The timestamp was from 2 weeks earlier. It showed me filling my truck with fuel. Seconds later, the same man parked 3 pumps away and photographed my license plate. I'd never noticed him. They had. Another video showed him standing outside my office building pretending to talk on the phone while watching me through the glass. Another showed him sitting outside our apartment for nearly 5 hours without leaving his car. Suddenly, every strange feeling I'd ignored over the past few months came rushing back. The unfamiliar car that kept appearing near my workplace, the missing deliveries, the times I felt like someone was watching me while jogging. Emma hadn't been sneaking around behind my back. She'd been trying to confirm whether we were actually being watched before terrifying me with something she couldn't prove. Just then, one of the volunteers received a radio call. The man they'd been tracking had just entered my apartment building. Everyone ran downstairs. By the time we reached the parking lot, police cruisers were already arriving. Emma admitted she'd finally called detectives earlier that evening because they believed the stalker was becoming more aggressive. We drove back to the apartment behind the officers. My front door had been forced open. Inside, every room had been searched, but nothing had been stolen. Instead, detectives found tiny GPS trackers hidden beneath my truck, inside my gym bag, and taped underneath a package I brought inside earlier that week. The stalker wasn't interested in stealing from me. He wanted to know where I was at all times. Hours later, police arrested him while he was hiding in a maintenance room on the 3rd floor. He wasn't a random stranger. He was a former private investigator whose license had been revoked years earlier after repeated complaints about illegal surveillance. During the search of his storage unit, detectives recovered hundreds of files documenting dozens of people he'd secretly followed over the years. Mine filled 3 entire boxes, maps of my daily routines, copies of receipts, printed social media posts, even sketches of my apartment layout. Investigators never proved exactly why he'd chosen me. They believed he became obsessed after conducting surveillance on someone who once worked in the same office building as me. When that assignment ended, he simply never stopped watching. The detective later told me something I'll never forget. If Emma hadn't documented everything as carefully as she did, they probably wouldn't have had enough evidence to arrest him before he entered our apartment. For weeks, I'd been convinced my girlfriend was living a double life. The truth was far worse. She'd been risking her own safety every single night because she was trying to protect mine without making me think she'd lost her mind. I apologized for doubting her. She admitted she should have trusted me sooner. We moved to another city 3 months later and started over. Sometimes people ask me why I always check every parked car before walking into my house. I usually just smile and change the subject, because once you've learned that someone can quietly study your entire life without you ever noticing, you never really stop looking over your shoulder.